Like, here's an example of when you can definitely judge a book by its cover. If you are ever on a WestJet flight and you see a drunk, balding, middle-aged man ranting about Bitcoin while he's peeling a hard-boiled egg he brought from home, I guarantee that man is my dad. That's Jeffrey Searcy. That's a true story, by the way. Yep. Me and my dad flew to Winnipeg, and he snuck 6 hard-boiled eggs on board. Yeah, I say he snuck them. It's not illegal to eat eggs on a plane, but it fucking should be. Eggs? We're trapped in a metal tube with hundreds of people, and that's the snack you picked? A fucking fart in a shell? That's the one. Hundreds of options. Dude, I would have rather he brought a pocket full of loose bubble tea balls and slurped them out of the palm of his hand. You know those tapioca balls? I actually would have preferred if he was like, long flight, huh? Dude, he peeled the eggs on the plane. Do you know what that does to me? Do you know what? That means he boiled them in his kitchen, and before he was about to peel it, he's like, this would be more fun with an audience, actually. In an enclosed space where the fumes can spread. Dude, you guys know to peel an egg, you have to whack the shell to get it started. So he pulls it, first of all, he pulled an egg out of his breast pocket. What the fuck? I didn't know he brought him. I just looked over. He's like, snack time. And he took an egg, and I assume he's gonna tap the armrest. Instead, he winds up and smacks the seat in front of him. You know that plastic bit on the back of the headrest? He literally wound up like he was swinging a hammer and was like, snack time, motherfucker. And just started flicking shells with his dirty airport thumbs. It was fucking disgusting. Dude, no sanitizer was involved in this process. Whatever the next pandemic happens, just know it started under my dad's fingernails. It was... He starts eating eggs one after the other, just... This is the part that bothered me the most, is he was 3 eggs in, and then he put one in his mouth, and he kept it there, and then he just went on his phone For 10 seconds, it was just loitering out. I was like, can you fucking swallow, dude? And look, I'm not anti-egg, you know. I can see your guys' faces. I can tell there's some hard-boiled egg fanatics here. Here's my thing, though. If you're gonna do something like that, you have to give me a heads up, right? That's common. You can't spring that on your travel buddy. You gotta give me you gotta pull me aside at the gate and be like, hey, dude, I did something pretty fucked up. Give me a heads up. My dad didn't give me a hint. You know what? He did give me one hint. You know what it was? We were standing at the gate, and he was like, did you bring any snacks? And I was like, no. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. He said, don't worry, I got you, and then he winked at me. He gave me a cheeky little wink, which, if you guys have never met Jeffrey, which none of you have, I don't know why I said if, but just know that wink of my dad, that is his calling card. I remember I first moved to Vancouver, and he visited me, and I decided to take him to this fancy oyster bar for some reason. And we walked in, sat at the bar, and everybody was dressed in suits and gowns and looking prim and proper. And the bartender came up to us and was like, have either of you boys tried oysters before? And before I could say anything, my dad looks at me and gives me a fucking wink. And then he turned to the bartender and said, nope, back in Winnipeg, the closest you can get to an oyster is a dirty hooker's snatch. And the bartender said, interesting, and just walked away. We never got our oysters. I cannot believe he said snatch, dude. That is the worst name for a vagina. It's too aggressive. A vagina is so nice. A snatch sounds like a vagina that can only grow in harsh desert conditions. You know what I mean? It's just rough down there. If you ever hook up with a woman and she tells you, I want you to eat out my snatch, don't fucking do it. Don't go down there, dude, it'll be too rough. Dude, you go down on a woman with a snatch, the second you start licking, a fucking hand will grab you and just yank you inside. You just wake up in a dark room like, what the hell? But yeah, my dad, he didn't tell me about the eggs. And at one point, he was just shoveling them in his mouth, and I couldn't believe he was doing this. And this is all I said the entire flight, is after his fifth egg, I looked over at him, and all I could say is, dude, what are you doing? Which normally I would have called him dad, but I don't want people to know we're together. I look like this dude. I am not claiming this fucker. So just to be like low-key, I was like, what are you doing, fellow traveler? And this is how out of it my dad is with social decorum. When I said, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry, I brought a couple for you. Again.